the first thing I want to say is that we, the Jewish people, should be so proud of the people of Amona. These are people, young families with children, who are so dedicated to the land of Israel. They love the land of Israel. They don't want to go anywhere else because Amona is part of the land of Israel. So these are heroes of the Jewish people. They care so deeply about the land. I remember what happened in Amona many years ago. I think it was 10 years ago. It was a tragedy that is indescribable, the confrontation between the police and soldiers and the people that were there. The violence from the police against the innocent people there who really were defending their homes. They were defending their homes. So, God forbid, nothing like this can be permitted to happen. I don't understand. What are we talking about here? Nobody took someone's home away in Amona. We're not talking about the Jews came and they took away the homes of the Arabs. The Palestinians were living there, we took away their homes. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking, there's even a debate in terms of how much of Amona is even part of, that belongs to somebody else who says that land belongs to me. But this issue is not about a piece of land that somebody says it belongs to me. The goal of destroying Amona is to destroy settlements. It's to win a victory that, God forbid, could have a domino effect. You know, if you win here, we can win everywhere else. We set a precedent. It's so interesting that the people in Shalom Achshav, the liberal left-wingers who are behind this entire thing, they're the ones who orchestrated this entire thing. You know, there are Bedouin who live on land throughout the land of Israel illegally. Has anyone gone to the Supreme Court? Is there something going on in the Supreme Court right now, the liberal left-wing Supreme Court, to remove Bedouin who are living on land illegally? Nobody even denies that. No one questions it. And by the way, we're not talking about a little piece of land. We're talking about huge amounts of land that they live illegally. So the issue of Amona, to those who are really behind it, it's not a Palestinian who wants, you know, one of these families, he said he wants to teach his children to be farmers. So we're going to throw the people out of their homes who live there, who are not bothering anybody, because he wants to teach his children how to be farmers. You have to smile, you have to laugh. And I hope to Hashem that something, I know things do not look very, very good. The Supreme Court has made a decision. You know, I think it's time that the Supreme Court of Israel should reflect the people of Israel. The people of Israel are made up of people on the left, the center, and the right. And the Supreme Court today basically reflects the left. And that's not fair. The decisions from the Supreme Court usually reflect a left-wing bias. You know, you can have judges on the Supreme Court who went to the best law schools in Israel or in the world, and they may look at Amona and feel differently about it. But this Supreme Court, unfortunately, why they are even mixing into this, there's a government of Israel, there's a Knesset that makes laws. Why the Supreme Court has to put its nose into this is very, very unfortunate. Again, the people who live in these communities in Amona and many of the other communities, these are the best that the Jewish people have. They are young. They serve in the army. They learn Torah. They love the land of Israel. They really love the land. And to throw them out of their homes, we're talking about families here. We're talking about children who have lived here for years, that we can't find a solution. And by the way, one of the Palestinians who says this is his land, and it's a very small piece of land in terms of all of Amona, he was offered 10 times as much land. His children could be farmers. No. He wants to teach them to be farmers only here on this piece of land. I mean, this is all about Shalom Achshav, other left-wing groups. They want to win a victory that is way beyond Ammona. It's to win a victory against the right of the Jewish people to live anywhere in Judea and Samaria. That's what this is all about, and make no mistake about that. You know, you want to talk about it's illegal, they don't have a right to have this land, and you're concerned about the world, yes? We're concerned about the world. Well, the world thinks that all of the West Bank, everything that's going on is illegal. Are we going to listen to the world? Or are we going to do what's best for the people of Israel and defend our rights? The world, the whole world, the Europeans, the Americans, everybody. All the settlements are illegal, they say. Should we get rid of all of them? Right? It's insane. I hope that something, I think we need a miracle. Or we need HaKadosh Baruch Hu to send something into some other way to possibly save Ammona. And the people, again, I have to say, I was there after the destruction the first time. I saw what was the confrontation between the people, and I was there afterwards to see the destruction. Destroying things is not a good thing. It's not a healthy thing to do. It sounds a little bit like a dictatorship. A dictatorship of the Supreme Court of Israel. They know better than everybody. They are smarter than everybody. They know better. And if you don't believe me, ask them. They think they are better than everyone else, smarter than everybody else. They know what's good for the people of Israel. And that's not what democracy is all about. The people of Israel have elected representatives. There is a government of Israel. And we know that the majority of the government of Israel, you've had Prime Minister Netanyahu as the Prime Minister for many, many years. Why has the Supreme Court not changed to reflect the sentiment, the philosophy of the people of Israel who elected a center-right government? Why? If at the end of the day, there is no choice, we Jews always hope. Do you know, I have to tell you a story. When I was in the Neve Dakalim on Shabbat, before all the Jews were thrown out after Tisha B'Av, I remember something I will never forget. There was a person, an elderly man with a long white beard. He was still building a house. I walked by, I said, what's wrong with this person? They're going to throw everyone out in 48 hours. Why is he building? And I said to myself, you know what? We Jews never, ever lose faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that maybe something will happen. It doesn't look good, but who knows what could happen the very, very last moment. But there is no question that as a result of the leadership of Naftali Bennett, there's no question that this law that would legalize these communities, they are called different things, but the bottom line is the people who live in these different places are heroes of the Jewish people, and legalizing all of them would be fantastic. There's no question about it. But maybe there's still some hope, something that none of us expect, that maybe something good can happen for the people of Ammona. It doesn't look good, but we Jews have a tendency that we don't give up. Maybe something will develop, because destroying homes of people, children live in these homes, and they've lived there for years. That's not a good thing. And why? Why are we doing this at the end of the day? Why couldn't there be a compromise? In America we have a concept, I don't know if you have it in Israel, probably you do, it's called eminent domain. Okay? Now maybe this is a little, sometimes you have to stretch concepts and ideas. Why couldn't Ammona be the concept of eminent domain? that it's good for the land of Israel, for the people of Israel, to avoid the confrontation. There is such a thing that you could take my house if you're going to build a highway. You could take my house. In America, we do this many, many times. And for other things that are good for the general public. This is good for the general public. I don't know if in Israel you have the concept of eminent domain. We have it in America forever. You know what the problem is? When the left wing in Israel gets elected, throughout history, they do whatever they want to do, even if they have only 61 votes, right? Rabin made a peace with how many votes? How many votes did he make peace, and he changed the whole picture, which resulted in so many Jews being murdered during that period with Yasser Arafat? When the left comes to power, they got elected. They say, this is democracy. Democracy is, if I get more votes than you, I'm in charge and I can do whatever I want. The right wing, even with Netanyahu, they're not so sure. They are elected by the people again and again and again, and they're not so sure. They don't do what they need to do. The people spoke, the people elected you. Make the changes. You know, in America with Trump, one of the reasons Trump won is because he made a lot of promises that were different from a lot of other people, and people think that he may actually do it. We'll find out. But the right wing should not be afraid to rule and to use the power that the people have given to the right wing. They are. Very, very often they are. You know, the media is very, very liberal in Israel, and there's criticism, and no one should be concerned about criticism. If you are elected, you do what you need to do for the people of Israel. Why is the Supreme Court still the way it is? Why have there been no changes during all of these years? I don't know. We keep on talking about the same subject. The Supreme Court is, you know, doesn't reflect the people of Israel, and it continues. Left-wing, right-wing governments, same thing.
Let's move now to the President Obama. Do you think we can see any movement against Israel before we leave into the White House?
I think with President Obama, you cannot be sure of anything. I think he will hesitate to do anything because Trump is very, very strong, and he's very committed to Israel. At least that's our perception right now. They're talking about moving the embassy to Jerusalem. We shall see. We shall see. So I think, you know, that it would run into, you know, the days are going by. It's only a few more weeks that he will be president. To do something like this, which he knows is against what Trump wants, is something you're not supposed to do. In the case of Obama, you don't know. No one can predict. I think there's a lot of pressure that he shouldn't. But you know, the whole Democratic Party today, instead of learning a lesson from the election, from Hillary Clinton losing, unfortunately, they're moving more to the left. They want to put the new head of the National Democratic Party, Congressman Ellison, who's an anti-Semite. I mean, his record is horrible. And he's going to be the one to represent me. I'm a Democrat. He's going to represent the Democratic Party. So you don't know with Obama what he's going to do in the coming weeks. I hope to God he doesn't do anything, but I don't think anyone can predict for sure one way or the other.
But you think Israel need to be concerned about this?
I don't think so. No, I don't think there's anything to be concerned. Whatever he does, we are going to have Trump, and I hope, you know, I tell many people who are very happy with Trump that they should realize that he's not the Mashiach, for sure not. That everything is going to be okay, there are not going to be any issues anymore, no more problems, everything is going to be just wonderful. It never turns out quite that way. But one thing I'm pretty sure, he will not be Obama. That I'm sure. Look, with President Obama, with Trump, the next 4 years, we hope that it will be dramatically different. Night and day. the sun's shining, and the relationship would be much better. America and Israel don't have to always agree. That has never happened with any president since 1948. We don't always have to agree, but there has to be a feeling for Israel. You need a president who understands that Israel is faced with situations that no country in the world is faced with. No country in the world. And to appreciate that, and to understand that, and to be sensitive to that. All of us are hoping that with Trump and his administration, that there will be a dramatic change. The promises were made. We know in politics promises are only worth so much. But we do hope that there will be a dramatic change and things will be much friendlier, much warmer, a greater understanding for the difficulty that the people of Israel face. Israel cannot afford to make even one mistake. That's the bottom line. That's what the world has to understand. Everybody can preach and tell Israel what they should do, but Israel cannot afford to make a mistake. God forbid. So we hope for the best. And I think the real answer is that only time will tell. Only time will tell whether, in fact, it will be day and night or something in between that. I think that 6 months from now, when we speak, we will have a very good idea. There is no question that if Trump moves the embassy to Jerusalem and keeps his promise that he made from the very beginning, that will be a huge indication that this administration is very different from anything we've ever had before. Let us remember that many Republican administrations in particular have promised to move the embassy to Jerusalem. They put it into their platform. This is what we're going to do. And they did just the opposite. They did nothing. So we'll see what happens. If they move in this direction, it will be a huge indication that the next 4 years will be tremendously different in a positive way between the United States and Israel.